On today's installment of Silver Screen News, an MCU flop that everyone saw coming. Superman is too dark. Two Taika Waititi projects that are kind of interconnected but also not. And Dwayne Johnson's next big project.
And of course, we go back in time to celebrate Throwback Thursday, all on Silver Screen News.
Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to the latest installment of Silver Screen News, our weekly movie news show where we give you all the latest and greatest in movie news, rumors, discussions, scandals, and give you our point of view and some little context to the story so you can form your own opinions. As always, my name is Nico Luro.
And I am the one AJ Anthony Jordan.
And if there is a specific news story that you want to jump to in this video, the timestamps are down in the description below. But we can get straight into it this week, AJ. And we're starting off on, it's a bit of a negative if you're a comic book fan, but I think, frankly, the whole freaking world saw this coming. It's not really a surprise. The Marvels didn't have a great... The Marvels did not have a great opening weekend. Here's the full story. So, box office, the Marvels misfires with a 47 million opening weekend, the lowest MCU opening weekend of all time. Disney's Marvel Cinematic Universe is no longer a bulletproof box office franchise. That much is clear after the Marvels misfired with 47 million in its opening weekend to land the worst debut in MCU history. Initial tracking was closer to 75 to 80 million. This guy right here said that is never going to happen. But those projections shrank dramatically in recent weeks to 60 million and 65 million, with bad buzz and actors like Brie Larson unable to promote the film due to the SAG strike, which finally ended on Friday. The Marvels didn't even match those disappointing estimates. Only two other films in the sprawling series, The Marvels is the 33rd installment in 15 years, have opened to lower than 60 million. 2008's The Incredible Hulk with 55.4 million, and 2015's Ant-Man with 57.2 million, not adjusted for inflation. Although the MCU has been showing rare signs of wear and tear in its spandex, the franchise's other two big screen adventures to open this year, February's Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, which made 106 million, and May's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, 118 million, still managed to hit triple digits in their respective debuts. The third Ant-Man wasn't labeled a bust until the end of its box office run. The Marvels is the rare MCU movie to flop out the gate. AJ, are you at all surprised about this? And why do you think this movie has been a flop of, by Marvel standards, such epic proportions?
I think one of the sad things we have to look at is I don't think there was a lot of people who liked Ms. Marvel, which isn't going to help the situation. Captain Marvel's showing in Endgame have most people calling her the Uber driver and a backup dancer. The ultimate power that she was deemed to be. I think everyone rushed to see who is this ultimate power. Now, between her showing in the films, I think people were a tad disappointed, may I say. And then Monica Rambeau, either you know her as a kid in Captain Marvel or you had to follow the TV series. And I feel it hasn't had the love that you would in terms of having the heroes you would like to follow. That being one of the issues. It's obviously, if you don't have stars out there promoting it, it's going to take a bit of a hit, but how much of a hit can it really take if you've really got the product there? You just overly pump on that. So that should have helped. It's a bit of an unfortunate one. It's weird as well because as off screen before recording, I was kind of saying it doesn't affect me. I'm not overly excited for Marvel movies. This one kind of stuck out to me as something I would pique an interest in. So, but then the reviews started to come in and it did come in a bit negative. And I think that could scare a lot of people into going into it as well. A lot of reviews are not positive for this film, and that will stop people going in for multiple viewings. So that little mix of all of it in together is not really going to spell success, is it? So unfortunate. I am still yet to see it. It may, by the time it is released, I may have seen it. But yeah, as it currently stands, it's not got the best reviews, and I think that's what's led to it.
Yeah, reviews are certainly one thing that's going to be a part of this. I think your take on Miss Marvel not being the most liked of MCU series, which I personally can't understand. I love that, and am a forever defender of Miss Marvel. But you're right, people do not like it. The marketing was incredibly misleading. Now, on our news show last week, we watched the trailer for the final trailer for the Marvels, in which you hear Thanos' voice. Now, I have not seen the Marvels yet, but from what I understand, Thanos has no part in this. And yet, in two trailers, his voice is there, and the line, "There will always be someone to continue my work," is ushered. And from what I've read and from what I've seen in the reviews, complete misleading marketing. People do not respond well to that sort of thing. And I feel actually a bit dirty that Disney resorted to that sort of tactic of, well, let's put the big guy's voice in and try and get butts in seats because we can't otherwise. It just feels sleazy and it feels below what Marvel should be delivering us at this point. I've often said, and I said to you off camera just now, it is going to take 2 or 3 years for people to want to see Marvel movies again and for the buzz to be back because Kevin Feige has only just got his autonomous creative power back thanks to Bob Iger. Remember, for the last few years, Kevin Feige hasn't even been running the ship because of that ass clown Bob Chapek who took power away from him and handed it to a load of corporate guys. And you're seeing it now. It will come back. This isn't the one, sadly. Although I will be seeing it this week, all but very late. But yeah, anything you want to add?
No, just the only thing I will co-sign is I actually didn't find Miss Marvel bad. I finished it this morning in the anticipation of going to the Marvels, and I didn't see the hate. Is it like not on the nose, cookie cutting and basic, maybe, but it wasn't to hate. It's a decent show. It's just the standard of the product that the MCU's outputting. It's not worse than anything. It was enjoyable. That's the only
I'll
thing I
also
can
say
really
on the
caveat.
Miss Marvel front, I thought it was so fresh seeing Pakistan portrayed that way. You know, when she goes back to Pakistan and is looking around and is like kind of in wonder about it, it's like someone going to Manhattan for the first time, which we've seen a million and one times in movies.
I'll give you
I
that. Yeah.
projecting Central Asia that way was really quite beautiful. And it
It
had
was.
its moving parts with a big separation. And I was like, you know what? There's a fluff, but there's a good
Yeah.
storyline here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's our thoughts, guys. Have you seen the Marvels? What did you think of it? If you have, don't ruin it. No spoilers, please. Don't be douches. It's still early days. But leave your thoughts in your comments down below. Let us know what you think of the Marvels and why you think it flopped. Up next, AJ, let's pivot from Marvel to DC. Let's talk. I think you and me are on record now by agreeing that pretty much for the foreseeable future, hands down, the most important superhero movie is Superman Legacy.
Oh, it's ride or die for DC, is it? Really? Let's just be 100% real with that. There,
It is
there's a lot
right.
riding on it.
Even if Superman Legacy does, yeah, here's the important part. Even if Superman Legacy doesn't do huge box office numbers, it needs to be well received. That's the thing. Because it's not going to get, listen, it's James Gunn involved. That will help it, no doubt. Um, but you're not going to get $1 billion Superman movie yet. It's not there yet because you need to wash the stink of the previous DC movies out of people's mouths, and that takes time to fix, as we are experiencing with Marvel at the moment, right? What this movie needs to do is be good and not be subjectively good. This movie needs to be universally liked and hopefully loved, right? You need to please the critics and you have to please the fans. If you can achieve those two things, you may not make money, but you'll create a baseline for people to have an interest in DC again, thinking, I heard that Superman movie was pretty good. Let me check it out on Blu-ray or on Sky or on HBO or whatever streaming it ends up on. Check it out. Actually, this is good. I'll go see the next DC movie now. That's the momentum you want to create in this. Well, it turns out Superman Legacy could be quite dark. Here's the full story, AJ. I was quite surprised by this, but let me run it down for you. Superman Legacy. Jacob Elordi turned down an audition because it was too dark. It turns out Jacob Elordi have been in the running to play the Man of Steel. Now he does look the part in Superman Legacy. However, the actor turned down the DC role because it was, quote, too dark. In the early days of Superman Legacy, speculation, Jacob Elordi topped the list of many fans regarding who they wanted to play the Blue Boy Scout. It's now come out that the actor was actually offered to audition for the role, however, ended up turning down the chance to be in the DC universe due to it being too dark, which Elordi revealed when asked if he had any superhero ambitions. Quote, not particularly, no. I've always been told to say a rounded answer or my agent will get mad at me. Anything can happen, and obviously anything can happen. But at this stage in my life, I don't see myself having any interest in that. Mr. High and Mighty. I like to make what I would watch, and I get very restless watching those movies, and then I'm supposed to finish it with never say never. Well, they asked me to read for Superman, Elordi finishes. That was immediately, no thank you, that's too much, that's too dark for me. It's certainly interesting that Jacob Elordi found the Superman Legacy script too dark, given many fans worried James Gunn would make the Man of Steel too silly in his new DC universe. Though given the project is rumored to feature conflict in the Middle East, it seems all but confirmed the project will be deeper than many may have expected. AJ, what's your take on this rather odd take of someone not wanting to play the biggest superhero in history on the basis that it's too dark?
I'm aware that I can sometimes be a dinosaur, and sometimes I need to Google a name to find out who it is. I have no idea who you are, with the highest of respect, Mr. Elordi, whoever. Nope. Again, respectfully on that.
On him.
Yeah, so while you're doing that, I'm going to listen to that. But what I'm hearing is a guy who doesn't really appreciate superhero movies, which, again, I'm not saying you have to, but if it's not your jam, it's not your jam. So you reading it and saying it's too dark, that could just be because it's not really your take, and you're just like, it's not your cup of tea. So for this guy to quote it as too dark may not be as dark as one expects. But no, let's go.
No, yes, it is. I'm looking at his filmography now. Okay. Whoa.
Right, go.
Okay. You won't have seen these because these are well, I'm assuming you won't have seen these. But he did that Euphoria series with Zendaya.
Right, I'm aware. I've heard of this show, but yeah,
dark as hell. Like, Saltburn with Barry Keoghan, which is out this Friday, which is meant to be dark as hell. Yeah, I mean, he's also done things like Two Hearts and and The Kissing Booth. So
I've seen The Kissing Booth.
Yeah,
not watching it, but yeah,
of course you have. He's the shirtless dude in The Kissing Booth.
I don't know that far, but I just know the film. It's a Netflix film. It's easy to watch. But here we go. But maybe with the portrayal of Superman, that he might have thought it to be a bit lighthearted. Who knows? Maybe he was a Smallville fan, or if anything, or that's the kind of teen shows he's expected to be cast in. I, on the other hand, welcome a dark, because to me, Superman has always been too clean, and that's the way that Gunn may even go with it. Let's just, well, this is it. That what you're highlighting is the only time I really could say I love Superman. Like, don't get me wrong. You can watch a Superman cartoon. You can watch a Batman cartoon. We all know which one we prefer to watch. You watch the Justice League. We all know who we prefer to follow. Let's even take it on a Marvel front. We know the difference between the first Avenger and the second film, not Civil War.
Winter Soldier.
Sorry, I completely blanked there. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? These cookie cutters need a bit of edge. That's what helps with these films. Now, okay, granted that his TV series and upcoming film may be ultra dark, so how dark can you take it? We're also talking James Gunn as a director. So, I mean, he's a good director. I've not known him to go into the deepest, darkest forest. So, like, let's not push it. You know, let's not push it. Again, he's not the writer. So, but there's only so far it would have gone.
He is. Gunn is the writer.
Oh, right. Well, there we go. Even better.
He's writing and directing.
Yeah. So then with all of this, and I do stand corrected, show my ignorance on most of this and just talking off the gun. Like this, to me, there's only so dark you can get. And I believe with the backlash that came with Man of Steel, I don't think you're going to get that dark again. So I'm taking it from a man who's probably very used to the red, yellow, and blue being a certain figure. You've seen it a different way. He's like, that's too dark for me. I don't think it's as dark as we were expecting. But I welcome a bit of edge on Superman. That's my personal take.
This comment means absolutely nothing. It means less than nothing. It is one actor who went to read for a role and it wasn't for him. You could pull this apart and be cynical in many ways. He's only saying that because he wasn't good enough. Oh, he's only a romantic comedy guy, but then you look and he's done Euphoria, and it's like, okay, maybe not. Look, Superman needs some edge. I don't want to see a man saving kitties in the trees and helping the firemen out. I don't want to see that. Now, do I need to see him snapping Zod's neck? No, but did I like that? Yeah, yeah. A balance in between? Something, don't try and go to the depths of despair that Zack Snyder went to. James Gunn has always had, like, if you've seen Guardians 3, Gunn can go dark. If you've seen things like Sliver, Brightburn, like, Gunn can go dark. There's always at the center of Gunn's films, there's surface level amicability and fun and joyfulness. But the characters are all carrying heavy burdens usually, and he juxtaposes that, that depth and that playfulness really well. That's what makes him such a good filmmaker, in my opinion. And I think that would lend itself very well to Superman, kind of taking a best of the whole Christopher Reeve and Henry Cavill and kind of mixing them into one. I'm all for this. I like, if it's too dark for you, Jacob, cool. David Corn sweats Superman. You do not matter in this conversation, my friend. Am I happy that Superman's going to have a bit of an edge to him? Yeah, hell yeah. Let us know what you think down in the comment section below, guys. Are you excited about this new Superman Legacy movie? And do you agree that it's the most important comic book movie of recent date? Let us know. AJ, let's talk about Taika Waititi. We have two stories on Taika. They are technically not related, but then I think you're going to see how they are related when we get to the second one. First one. Here's the first one, and it's with regards to Taika's involvement in the MCU and with Thor. This is from Variety, so reliable source. But this is what Variety have to say about Taika Waititi's involvement with the MCU moving forward. Quote, I won't be involved in Thor 5 anytime soon. If Marvel wants to see other people, I'm happy for that, bro. Taika Waititi told Business Insider while promoting his new sports comedy Next Goal Wins, which I can't wait to see, that he won't be involved in a fifth Thor movie, at least if it's happening anytime in the next 6 years or so. The Oscar winner directed Chris Hemsworth in the beloved Thor Ragnarok and the hugely divisive Thor Love and Thunder. A fifth Thor film. Well, listen, 6 years sounds like a long way away, but when you consider Ragnarok was 2017 and Love and Thunder was 2022, it's a fair distance. A fifth Thor film is currently not on Marvel's upcoming slate, although the character is still very, very much alive within the MCU, and the door is presumably open for his return. Excuse me. I wouldn't know if that's accurate, Waititi said when asked about the social media rumors claiming Thor 5 is in development, but not with him as director. I know that I won't be involved. I'm going to concentrate on these other films that I've signed on for. Waititi has a slew of non-Marvel projects that he's currently in development on, including Star Wars movie that is taking its time to get off the ground. It's still marinating, he said. I've been writing it. There's also the big screen adaptation of Alejandro Jodorowsky's graphic novel, The In-Call, that Waititi wants to make, as well as an adaptation of Kazuo Ishiguro's novel, Clara and the Sun. Waititi told Business Insider the latter title will likely be his next movie. Clara centers on a robot program to prevent loneliness and heartbreak amongst teenagers. So, AJ, Taika Waititi supposedly not directing Thor 5. Do you think that's the case, or do you think Marvel are just going to wait for their Thor guy?
The line of if Marvel were to see other people, that's fine, kind of gave me a bit of a burn going on. I don't know if it needs to be Taika. I actually don't know if it needs to be Taika, in the sense that between the stages of Thor, like, you have good from each one. I think Kenneth Branagh done quite. Was he your direct? Branagh done the first one, didn't he? The first Thor.
Kenneth Branagh, yeah.
Yeah. So that is completely different to Ragnarok, and it takes a different turn. Now, if I was to get a different director to give me another turn in the development of Thor, I'm not opposed to it. We've had the element of the Asgardian who's landed to Earth and needs to embrace that without his power. We've now seen the comedic side to him, and now Thor's actually going to take on the part of being a parent for the better or worse of it. So if there is a different director in there to show a different angle, let it be. Look, we got magic from Ragnarok, but Love and Thunder wasn't exactly, they say, divisive. I don't know anyone who said it's good. So I believe that was being polite. And that's no hate on Taika. I actually love Taika's projects. I would never let Love and Thunder be something to turn me away from a future Taika Waititi product. However, I don't think he needs to be there. If there's a new angle for Thor, bring it on. I actually want to see Thor step back a bit because there's more development in the MCU, if I'm honest. If he comes up, let it come. But I don't think it's a bad thing if there's a new director.
I'll second that, to be honest. Everything you've just said, not much to add on my part. I think the character's in need of some new life. I think it hasn't. It's interesting, isn't it? Taika Waititi's got such a beloved following, including these two guys right here, that even though Thor, Love and Thunder, F divisive, it wasn't good. Again, Chapek being involved. It's funny that. I won't miss a beat, dude. Feige gives his creatives the freedom to be creative. We get Ragnarok. Chapek takes that away. We get Love and Thunder. It's literally in front of you. The whole, if it's not going to happen for the next 6 years, sounds crazy. But as I said, Ragnarok was 2017. Love and Thunder was 2022. That's 5. Yeah. I reckon they're gonna hold out for Taika. I'd even go so far as to say, I don't necessarily know if it's the right thing to do or not, because there's plenty of great directors out there. Would I be opposed to someone new giving it their spin on it? No, not at all. But I think Taika gets the best performances out of Chris Hemsworth as Thor. That's why I think they're gonna hold off. I'd also say don't be surprised if some point down the line they don't give Taika a whole Avengers movie to direct. That wouldn't surprise me either. Yeah. Look, I'm excited for Next Goal Wins. I love Jojo Rabbit. I love What We Do in the Shadows. Taika's the man, dude. He's so good. But yeah, let us know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Are you excited for a potential Thor 5? Do you want Taika to come back and direct, or do you think it needs to have some new life breathed into it? Let us know down below. And that leads very nicely, AJ, into our next story, which is also about Taika Waititi. Because yes, okay, it's interesting that he said Clara is his next movie. I have a feeling I know what the one after might be. Hint, hint. They kind of said it was being written in the article, but here's the full story. Because we have a Star Wars update, AJ. Be gentle, Star Wars fans. It's okay.
Careful. I'm going to have your back now, because the last time you told Star Wars fans to be careful and play nice, they all started to bite you for it. So yes, guys, it's a Star Wars fan who told you.
Toxic knows toxic. It's like, what? I said I like this article. This is how funny that video was. I said, be nice. Star Wars fans can be very toxic because they're so divided, owning the fact that they didn't divide themselves. The product has divided them. And I said, but here's a reason for us to be hopeful. Freaking animals, mate.
So I'm just saying, guys, calm down. Let's breathe. Enjoy that your product is being spoken about. And you know what? Just go past the first 2 words and listen to the whole story. Because I guarantee you guys didn't do it the last time. But anyway.
No, 100% no. But the first 3 words are, first 4 words, toxic Star Wars fans. Now that we've got that out the way, we can talk about this news article. Because this news article, I think, is super interesting. Taika Waititi gives update on his Star Wars movie. This is an exclusive we have for you here, from Entertainment Tonight, which I shall now divulge. The director's first film in the franchise was announced in 2020. Taika Waititi is still planning on directing a Star Wars film. In an interview with Entertainment Tonight's Ash Crossan, the director revealed where his project for the franchise stands, 3 years after it was first rumored and then officially confirmed. At the moment, I'm still developing something with them. Like me, they have a lot of projects going on. I think they're going to push it until I finish these other projects. What ET told Entertainment Tonight. I'm just going to say ET from now on. I've got about 4 other scripts that I'm trying to finish, which we talked about in our other video. My thing is, I want to take my time with that and get it right. I don't want to rush this movie. Good for you, Taika. When E.T. spoke to Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy back in April, she echoed Waititi's comments. Oh, yeah, all that's underway, she told E.T. of Waititi's project, as well as Disney Plus's Lando series. There's no pivot, no pivot. It's all underway. Taika's a little slow. Everybody's busy, but yeah, those are great projects, and we're definitely still doing them. We'll see. Can I take the lead on this one?
By all means.
So, here's the thing. It wouldn't be the first time that we've been told something Star Wars is happening that then doesn't. That said, they do seem to have a very clear plan laid out at I believe it was either D23 or Star Wars Celebration, in terms of bringing this kind of Mandoverse side story together. You know, we're going to have a culminating story here with Grand Admiral Thrawn, with the Mandalorian, with the Rebels crew. I think that very much remains Disney's focus. After that, I imagine you're going to get the James Mangold movie. Don't bite my head off, Star Wars fans. I believe he's doing that new Rey storyline. If any Star Wars movie was going to get dropped, it would be that new Rey movie. That I could see them dropping, just because the fans are so split on that character. I'm more with you, AJ. I like her. I don't see the unnecessary vitriol towards her. Is she a Mary Sue? Yes, but I'm going to say something that's really going to annoy people now. So's Luke.
Thank you.
Putting that one out there. Oh, Gary Sue himself. Love him. He's just great at everything, isn't he? And yeah, I think this Taika Waititi project is going to happen. The fact that not because Kathleen Kennedy's saying it, because Kathleen Kennedy has already been given her marching orders by Bob Iger, right? I think she's going to be gone in the next few years. There will be new people in charge at Lucasfilm, maybe Kevin Feige. That's been the long rumor. With new leadership and direction does come cancellation of projects. It's just par for the course. I still think we're going to get this movie. I think he's too much of a hot filmmaker and he loves this project and franchise too much that they're going to get rid of it. But what are your thoughts? And remember, AJ, be nice to the toxic Star Wars fans.
So here's my take, right? There's 2 things that really excite me on it. I hear a man who's saying he's taking his time with a project. So it's not that I've just been given access to the golden goose that is Star Wars and I'm just going to knock it out and people take what it is because it's Star Wars and screw the Star Wars fans. He's not doing that. He's taking time. He's appreciating he's got other projects and he's working on it. Now, irrelevant of where Kathleen may be by the time this comes, what will happen is you get a chance to be able to read a script, see what it says, and say if it's worth its weight. If a man's taking his time on it and the project's worthy, let it stick. So with that, I believe, look, I'm going to echo what I said in the previous story. I respect Taika. I believe he's got a good comedy element. I think he's got a good directorial side to him as well. Again, going back to Jojo Rabbit, it was a very different take from most of the stuff I've seen with Taika, and I really stop and appreciate it. So with that, there's a lot of diversity in the guy, and give the man a shot. Look, Disney obviously have trust in him because they've trusted him with the MCU. Now they've put him on the Star Wars front. I wouldn't see that as a demotion. Despite what Love and Thunder done, they still put him in their ranks of the good stuff. Yeah. And it's not even like a TV series. Let's see what you could do with episode 1. They've given him the big boys to play with. So you know what? All for it. Best of luck to you, Taika.
Yeah, look, between Taika and Jon Favreau, they still very much appear to be the darlings of Disney, don't they? Doing Marvel, doing Star Wars. I mean, Jesus, I'd love to see Jon Favreau come back and do a Marvel movie. I loved his take on Iron Man. I really did. But I like the road we're heading down. I'm one of the people who really liked the Ahsoka series on Disney Plus. I didn't like Obi-Wan. I love Mandalorian. Andor bored me. Yes, I know, burn the witch. Andor bored me. And I had no time for Book of Boba's nuts. But yeah, that's more hit than miss for me, and I think we're heading towards something quite special with Star Wars. And if Taika is involved further down the line as well, listen, these are all things to rejoice about. Let us know what you think. Go on.
Can I just pitch something to you just now, because we're on the Taika train at the moment, and you
Sure.
compared him to Favreau. Favreau's done the MCU and he's done a bit of Disney, and you're hoping he does a Star Wars. Could you imagine? And I know it's a bit of a reach because he's done Thor. Could you imagine Taika doing a live action Hercules?
So much.
It would be awesome, wouldn't it? It just hit me down. That would be awesome.
So much. Well, it's funny you mentioned Disney just now, AJ, because that leads us very nicely into our next story.
It's not
starring,
is it?
starring a guy who has actually played Hercules. So talk about
oh, is it Maui himself?
It's Maui himself, AJ. We are going to be talking about what The Rock's next big project is. I mean, I'm yet to see a big project by The Rock, if I'm being completely honest. But Skyscraper is a thing. Yeah, I said it. Shoot me. Right. If I can find it, here we go. Dwayne Johnson confirms that Moana live-action remake will be his next project. Here is the full story, AJ. If I can get it up, my apologies. Right. Dwayne Johnson is now ready for his next big film project. Now that the actors' strike is finally over and that he stopped begging people for Hawaii money, the former wrestler turned Hollywood superstar is getting ready to turn into Maui again for the live-action remake of Moana announced by Disney earlier this year. Although it hasn't really been, this is my thing, although it really hasn't been that long since the animated movie starring Johnson and Auli Carvalho premiered in theaters, the House of Mouse is already planning to bring it back to the big screen with a completely different version, as it has done with many of its great classics, such as Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Little Mermaid, and soon will do with Snow White. Boycott. Johnson is now one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. No, he's not. And although some of the latest projects did not perform as expected, Black Adam, he remains one of those actors who attract a large audience. No, he's not. With each new release, something he no doubt hopes to repeat with his next film, Moana. During a recent appearance on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, The Rock confirmed that the next movie he's going to shoot is the live-action remake of Moana, where he will once again play the Polynesian demigod known as Maui. The actor celebrated the news by singing the legendary song "You're Welcome" with the host. Right, AJ, a lot to unpack here. Go for it.
First off, don't ever disrespect "You're Welcome." That is a legendary song. Okay?
No, it's not.
I just need to get that. I love it. Anyway,
I love it, but it's not legendary.
It runs it for the kids. But anyway, we digress. I'm going to agree with the first part. When I first heard they're doing the live action, I was like, already? What? Like, there are so many other stuff that we could play with. Hercules. Like, there's a lot that could be unpacked. And again, not everything needs to be remade. I would actually be quite open to, even if you wanted to live action it, because of the mystique that you have, do like a reverse Page Master. Start off as animation and then go into real and have, he is Maui. There is no in-betweens on that. He can be Maui, and it'll be like, oh, we're in a different texture. Can they come on a new adventure? I want to see Moana 2 before I want to see live action Moana. That's just the real of it. And if you're now telling me it's got a different angle, we're talking about, everyone's going to be waiting for How Far I'll Go. Everyone will be waiting for Shiny. Everyone's going to be waiting for You're Welcome. Where do we go with this? Like, how does this game get played? I don't know. I'm not personally ready for a remake of Moana. I still love the original. That's just me being real.
I'm going to be real now. The Rock has got a very, very good publicist and an excellent PR. Because the fact that, and I quote, this article says, let me just find this here. Because this is a joke. The article says he's ready. Former getting ready to Maui again for the live action. This is very engaging content. I'm just trying to prove a point here. It hasn't been really. Johnson is now one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. Yeah?
Yeah.
To be a big star means you put bums in seats. That's what makes you a star. Your shine, your glow is bright. Yes. The next line literally says some of his latest projects did not perform as expected. Like, I'm sorry. That means you're not a big star then. You may be a noted name, but the fact that you were in a comic book movie, which was announced full time, and people were clamoring to see The Rock play a bad guy, and it flopped. I'm sorry, do one. The guy's not. He's. Does he have star power? Is he a star in his presence? Yes, of course he is. But this whole The Rock's the biggest actor in Hollywood. He's the highest paid. He doesn't exactly put bums in seats, does he? I'm not rushing out to see a Dwayne Johnson movie. I don't know many people who are, but he's the next Arnold Schwarzenegger. Terminator, Predator, Running Man, Total Recall, True Lies.
People need to drop that.
Come to me when he's done one of those.
People need to drop that. I know this is kind of deviating away from the whole Maui and Moana situation here, but the era of the next, we don't have a next Sly, we don't have a next Willis, we don't even have a next Bruce Lee for all intents, right?
Gerard Butler's kind of the next Bruce Willis. I'd give him that, but later career Bruce Willis.
Who's that?
Gerard Butler.
Oh, no.
Latter career Bruce Willis.
Yeah, it would be. Like, he's not even giving me a Die Hard with a Vengeance, let alone a Die Hard. Do you know what I mean? No.
He gave you 300.
Yeah, I'll give him that. But what after? Like, I'm not bricking on these films either when I'm saying that. I'm just saying it. No, like the 90s was a special era that gave you a special kind of film. We don't get those films anymore. So don't look for the next Arnie, because you're not going to get those brands of film. Arnie can't even outdo Arnie right now.
No.
Last Terminator, here's looking at you. You know, it's just the way of it. The only thing that we've had of a franchise that has moved on and is doing decent was Rocky passing it on to Creed. Like, that's the only thing that we could say is decent in this whole trifecta of those stars. Guys, please stop being the next what have you. That's my bit. I'll let you take your reign and finish what you have to say on, but that is something.
Yeah. So look, I'm with you on that. Look, he's not the next Arnold Schwarzenegger because he's never made a movie that comes close to delivering something like Arnie gave us. I listed 5 there, and I can go deeper, obviously. Check out the top 10 Arnold Schwarzenegger movies on our podcast. But like, is that something we haven't done? We should do that.
I think it's very old. I don't think it's a visual pod, if I'm honest.
We may need to revisit that then, AJ. Yeah. That's a 2024 project. That look, I don't care about this. I couldn't care less about it. It's too recent. It doesn't need the remake treatment. Moana is still fresh. The Rock doesn't make me want to rush out to the cinema. It's not because I hate him. I love The Rock. But it's like, I've never seen him in a movie this movie go, oh my God, it's amazing. I need to go and see that. Like, no, he's mildly entertaining at best, but he's not a huge, this is just for me, obviously. He's not a massive draw. I couldn't care less about this. Like, whatever. Let me know if you guys are interested about Moana. I personally am with AJ, want to see a Moana 2 before we get this. But yeah, let us know. Are you excited for a live action Moana? Thoughts and comments down below. And now, AJ, it is the time to get dusty down the old lonesome track. Tumbleweed.
Shivers.
Getting old, boy. Because we going old school, that is. We doing a classic movie review now as we go down TBT Boulevard for Throwback Thursday movies.
Yeah, so here we go. I'm a bit nervous. It took me a few seconds to throw it up because I'm scared. I don't know if I'm going 10 years back. I don't know if I'm going 20 years back. And the shiver of, oh God, he's showing up the 3. This means he's 30 years old. This is when you realize how old you are, because your childhood memories come to play with you. They come to haunt you.
It's so funny you say childhood memories, On the first ever audio only podcast we did, we talked about movies that were iconic to 90s kids. And this movie came up. So this is, and it came up on both our lists. This is very near and dear to us. Dude, if there was, when you take out Arnie, Sly, and Bruce and you go into another realm, there were a few other guys who epitomized the 90s. Jim Carrey was one, and arguably even better was Robin Williams. And that's what we're talking about today. AJ, Mrs. Doubtfire is 30 years old.
This is...
Now, I'd just like to say, if you're watching this as a separate video and you haven't watched it as part of our whole news show, I'm the one who does the research into finding out what movies are 10, 20, or 30 years old so we can pick our classic movie review of the week and just say, and ask the question, as the title of this singular video implies, if that's what you're watching, just how good was. So this reaction you're seeing... excuse me. This reaction you're seeing now from AJ, yeah, like that. Look at me, he's got the gas out of me. This reaction you're seeing now from AJ is organic. He never knows what movie I'm going to bring to the party each week, so this is got him. And yeah, man, this is real. One of our childhood favorites. So
Do you
we
know...
have to ask the question, as is now the new tradition, and we make a discussion, AJ, around the question. Just how good was Mrs. Doubtfire?
You know, I mean, if we want to go into it and just get that, I'll give a breakdown of it before I give
No
the state
ranking
of
yet.
it.
Save it.
Yeah.
Let's
In a way, I'm not shocked, and I'll tell you why. Because the dashing young man that was Pierce Brosnan, I've seen something recently on Instagram where they show like Pierce Brosnan over the years, and to me, I'm like, oh my god, my Bond has got old. That's what comes into my head. My Bond has got old.
And he's still a good-looking cat.
He is. There is no in-betweens on that. That's just the part that throws me. But I'm now just thinking, like, when I think of GoldenEye and whatever, yes, there was... Is it Dante's Peak he was also in? I believe.
Yeah, good pull, Dante's Peak.
But this is the other one that makes me think this was prime Pierce, you know. This is Pierce at his prime, and it's so unreal. And obviously, look, whether it be Aladdin, whether it be the top 10 that we done with Matt from Bigger Movie, like Robin Williams.
This was Matt's number one, wasn't it?
Yeah, like there was so much love for Robin Williams that you know, I can touch on it, but I feel like it's been touched on. Mrs. Doubtfire is currently in theaters in the UK as a musical, which is cool, and the lady of the house is very much open to it, and I'm like, I don't know, like, don't get me wrong, as a Back to the Future fan, I was really excited to see that, but I was wondering, how do you take a story that doesn't live in a musical realm and make it a musical? Same with Matilda, and it kind of makes me a bit hesitant with a Mrs. Doubtfire movie. Next year there's going to be a Mean Girls musical movie, but anyway, let's not deviate.
That looks fantastic, by the way.
It does. But here we go. I as much as why I brought up the play and the musicals, not because of musical and live, is I'm actually quite happy that it's still something to be honored, because in the year 2023, we live in an era where the world likes to throw the term transphobic and stuff like that. And I feel this generation, not everybody of this generation, because I'd like to think most people see it as a classic, but will see a negative and want to put a dampener on Mrs. Doubtfire for the fact that you're going to have a guy pretending to be a woman, and then if we're really going to play the game, they'll probably want to throw the ageism into it as well. There's going to be a lot of negative connotation out there for a film that essentially is harmless fun, and more to the point, the reason why the father done this. And you know, some might say it's a bit creepy, and there is actually a trailer out there that can make it look like a horror movie, which I appreciate. I've seen it on YouTube. You can type it in Mrs. Doubtfire horror or something like that, and it makes it look creepy, and you know, you could say the other side of the coin. But the basis of Mrs. Doubtfire, as is currently presented, is a father, and he says it in his speech in court, his kids are his life. You take his kids away from him, it's like taking air away from him. I always remember that line. It's like, I can't breathe without my kids. And this is it. So while he's been seen as a deadbeat dad and unable to do it, he has to become absolutely everything opposite of who he currently is in order to see them. So being a young male he has become an old woman, and that's what he's done. And there's a load of laughs along the way, and it's something to be appreciated. If you want my ranking now, I'll give it to you now, but I feel like you want to give your judgment first before I can throw my ranking on this.
Yeah. Like I did last time, I would very, very much like to bring up the trailer for Mrs. Doubtfire, just because I know that some of our younger audience may not have seen this. So I just want to give you a taste of what this is about. It's genuinely quite wonderful. Let me just load it up here. Okay, it's ready to go, and let's share. So here is, it's very short, but here is the old trailer for Mrs. Doubtfire. All square 4x3 format.
Oh my days, yeah.
My marriage is not ending, just on hiatus.
To put his family back together, Daniel Hillard needed a job.
Do you have any special skills?
I
do voices.
Nancy, looking for the other half of my head.
Look at me right now, Moneypenny. Want to undo that bow and get to know you.
Mr. Hillard, do you consider yourself humorous?
I used to.
And a decent home for his kids.
How do you like it?
Can't you just tell Mom you're sorry?
But he found a way.
I'm placing an ad for a housekeeper.
Housekeeper. Could you make me a woman?
To have both.
Let's pray.
No. You would marry a Doubtfire.
Papa's got a brand new bed.
You look like a lady.
They're still gonna get in trouble for this, having this song. I'm talking over it, you can't hear it. God damn you, YouTuber, your monetization. But yes, the song is very
old dad. Only
good.
Dinner is served, madam.
I'd love to get reacquainted.
Can't you see that?
Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Accent's a little kind of...
Look at the
muzzled
dude.
there.
Really? Well, so's your tan.
Wow.
The terrorists, they ran that way. It was a run by fruiting.
this holiday season.
Surprise.
Robin Williams,
Yes.
Sally Field,
Who needs a husband when I've got you?
in a Chris Columbus film,
Back off!
Mrs. Doubtfire. A father's work is never done.
The first day as a woman. I'm getting hot flashes.
So good. It's so good. Come on. Okay. Do you know what? If we're asking the question just how good Mrs. Doubtfire is, oh yeah, there's some stuff there that people are going to be offended by. My first day as a woman, I'm having hot flashes.
You know what it really feels like to be a woman?
Okay. Not
Well,
really.
I mean, if we're going to play the game, he did identify as a woman at that point in time. Just saying.
Oh, but dude, there's just countless videos on TikTok of people who are, you know, conforming to their gender neutrality and who are like, I'm having my first period. I'm like, you're not. You're a dude. It doesn't matter how you identify. You cannot have a period. So stop making a video about as if you can. Nah. Biology wins. Opinion matters not. Okay? You can identify however the hell you want. Don't care. But don't be making a video about how you're having your first period and having, as this says, hot flushes. Like, come on, man. Are there people who are maybe going to be butthurt by Mrs. Doubtfire? Yes. Yeah, you need a war. It's something to really worry about.
I mean, I'm not wishing that on anyone. We
No,
currently got
least of all with what's going on in the world at the moment. But if this movie is going to offend you, my God, you've got some free time on your hands. The crux and heart of this movie is magical. As a father, I can tell you there is no end of earth that I wouldn't go to for my child and soon to be children. There is no law, and I'm going to say this on air, I don't care. There is no law I wouldn't break in order to keep my child safe. There is no person I would not harm if I perceive them to be endangering the life of my child. I can tell you categorically as a parent, you, if you are a good parent, I think would go out of your way to make sure your progeny is safe. This movie takes that very real caveman-like concept and puts a nice comedic spin on it with a man that I don't think it's possible to hate, Robin Williams. Like, he's literally the uncle of the 90s kids. Like, that's literally who Robin Williams is. He's got a warmth to his voice, to his tone, to his delivery. He knows how to balance depth. He knows how to balance, poignancy. He knows how to balance the moments of real gravitas with moments of utter levity. It's a film about a man who is prevented because of his own shortcomings from seeing his children, and so devises a way to see them, which not just benefits him, but in the long term benefits his wife and his kids as well. And everyone's better off for it until the world comes crumbling down around him. Because, of course, the higher moral of the story is don't lie. You can only keep a lie going for so long. It's a wonderful movie, AJ. Of course, it gets a thumbs up. And here's another one. And it doesn't just get 2 thumbs up. It's goated.
Yeah.
Of course, this movie's a go status, AJ. It's 100% GOAT status. One of Robin Williams' finest movies, one of the greatest 90s movies, one of the greatest family rom-coms of all time. So just how good is Mrs. Doubtfire? It's a GOAT movie.
It's not gonna get any contention from me, that rating. It's truly one of a kind. I've not seen anything to compare it. And yes, we can play the game of the Nutty Professor, and I guarantee you, some people would be like, "Oh, but Big Mom." I hate Big Mama's House. It's got nothing on Doubtfire.
The Birdcage?
No, but the Birdcage is a different situation. Some will play that
pretending to be something they're not for their kids' sake.
Yeah, I get it. I would like to keep it different because it's a different scenario in a way. This is a completely forced secret identity. I can see the similarity, but I also see world apart differences in it. But I get what you're saying. But
for sure,
yeah, Mrs. Doubtfire is. I can't find it in me to find anything negative on it. I can't.
No.
I understand where people will say something, and if certain people from certain communities do find offense in it, I can only apologize that we find it that way. And I honestly, wholeheartedly believe there is no ill intent in what was done in it. There was no mockery of the trans community. Or okay, you could say having hot flushes, but it's an actual thing women go through. So it's referencing it in a humorous way. It wasn't demeaning to women. So everything.
I'm not even going to break it down. If you're offended, you're offended. Unlucky.
No, but that's what I'm just saying. I just don't feel that there was anyone targeted to be offended in this film, and I do feel like you need to take it for the joyous film that it is. That's my take on it.
Just enjoy it or bore off. Simple as that. Right, that's the end of the show, AJ, and the end of Throwback Thursday. And if you're watching the bigger show, Silver Screen News, that's the end of Silver Screen News this week. So take us home.
Okay, guys. So as you heard, that's the one, and this is either in a compartment or it's one whole show. Either way, we do truly fully appreciate your support. Do tell your friends to tell a friend. Hopefully it grows. It's all about the big family community. And how do you make the community grow? You like and subscribe, as it says down there. And more importantly, click that little notification bell. Get a notification to know that we're on, and you can share and spread the word. And you know when news comes out as it comes out. So until the next time, I am the one, AJ Anthony Jordan.
I'm Nico Luro, and I will see you next week and throughout the week. There won't be a news show next week as AJ is having a very longly overdue break. So he's off to Spain for a week. I will publish some videos. You'll get quite a few reviews for me coming out, maybe some rankings, maybe some think pieces. But stay tuned to the channel. There'll be some cool stuff for you to consume. But until next time, I'm Nico Luro, he's AJ, and we will see you very soon. Bye, guys.